Hi guys, my name is Nicolette Mashile. I'm also known as the Financial Buddy. Welcome to the Financial Buddy TV. Today we're going to start a series called What's Your Move? Now remember that nothing that I say on this video constitutes financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody that is certified and registered with the FSCA. So it has been literally over a year and I think 16 months since we published What's Your Move? A collection of ordinary financial lessons, and I think it's the right time for us to get into some of those chapters. And today's chapter that I'm going to be going into is a financial lesson from a jail cell. Yes, you guessed it correctly, it's story time. So a couple of years ago when I was still hot and I used to go out and I was very broke. I used to drive Kidiboni. For some of you guys who don't know who Kidiboni is a polo that my sister once gave to me, right? So I was driving Kidiboni, we went out, and I learned this bad habit when I was at Rhodes University. So when we were at Rhodes University, there used to be a BP garage that a lot of us used to go to right after Groove to buy cheese grillers, right? Can all the rodents in the room stand up? You remember those cheese grillers from the BP garage? So I got into this habit of every single time I used to go out, I would come back and then I would pass by a garage. So this time I passed by the garage, and let me tell you, and I can tell you the address because I don't live there anymore. This garage is literally on Malibongwe Road, right? The next robot is, I can't remember what the next robot is. Then the next robot is Bond Street. So I literally lived on Basil, which is literally after you turn on Bond, the next right is Basil Street. So that's how close this garage is to my house. Sharp. I went to the garage, and then everything is a blur, right? Wake up the next day at around about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've got missed calls on my phone. But also I can hear this loud banging at my door. So I'm in pajamas, I go to the door, and it's policemen. Look at my phone, it's my sister who's been trying to call me. So I call her back while I'm standing in front of these policemen, and they explain to me, no, Miss Mashile, you need to come with us. And I'm like, what's happening? They're like, you're getting arrested. I'm like, I'm getting arrested? What do you mean? I call my sister and she's like, yeah, the police are looking for you. They called me because obviously the car's registered in my name. I told them that you're the driver. And guys, I'm literally getting arrested. So they put me into the police van and we drive to the Randburg police station. Sharp, we get to the Randburg police station and I'm like, oh, well, this is an experience. I'm actually in jail. Well, it's not jail. It's actually a holding cell, but whatever. So I get put into this jail, guys. It's not good, that place, eh? It's not good. All the lights are on, literally, right? But I'm finding other people who are already there, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's best I make friends. Start making friends, start speaking to a couple of people, and, you really get some interesting characters that come into jail. So there's this one white girl. I just knew that girl was going to Sun City jail because her story did not come together. Guys, let me tell you what this babe says. So this girl says that she got hijacked, and then after she got hijacked, her car was used to kill someone else. But the problem is when she got hijacked, she didn't call the police. She called an estate that was nearby, security. You know what? And the guy who was arresting her was so calm. He's like, "Wena uya Sun City, namhlanje wena uya Sun City." Guys, I felt really sorry for her. But the most interesting person that I met there, and I don't know if interesting is the right word, was this young lady who had been there. Guys, she had made a line, a washing line. She had created a washing line inside the jail cell where she had her panties and her vaslap hanged. She looked comfortable. She looked like she had moved in. So I asked her, why are you here? She says, no, she's there because of fraud. I said, okay, what type of fraud? Because as you must understand, it's shocking for me for a woman to be in fraud. Like, I was just like, baby girl, what's happening now? You in fraud? She's like, so what they do is they go into different estates, they go into the dustbins, and they look for documents. So when other people are scrounging the bins for food or things that they can use, they're looking for people's documents with their personal information. Things like your address, your ID number, your bank account, your cell phone. Because what they then do is they go to cellular phone shops and they open contracts under your name. And then after they've opened the contracts, they get the devices and then they resell those devices. Guys, my jaw literally dropped as she said this. And then I said, so what do you mean? She's like, yeah, that's what we actually do. And she was like, I wish I could tell a lot of people not to throw away their documents that have their personal information into the bins because people like me are out there to use that information and exploit them. So one, it is called identity theft. But you may think identity theft, a lot of us, when we think identity theft, we worry about somebody going to Home Affairs to marry you off. The reality is identity theft can actually cause havoc in your finances. Why? Because one, it's a loss, right? It's a loss of income or a loss of money or potential future money, because now all of a sudden you have an account at Truett's and you've never walked into Truett's or at Sports Scene, and it's always these dizzy shops or Truett's or Sports Scene or Edgar's, and it's like, what's going on there? But these guys are actually going to like the likes of Vodacom, MTN, and they're opening these bank accounts falsely. Remember, in this country, you can forge anything. So people will say, but how will they get a proof of address? They just need your address. They will forge a City of Johannesburg utility bill, right? They will Photoshop that thing. They will. There was a guy who photoshopped a whole offer to purchase and told us that he bought a house. So really, it's not that difficult to Photoshop things. So they will do that and they will open these accounts. So you potentially are now having to owe these companies monies that you have no idea how you came about to owe them. But the second thing is it messes up with your credit record, because if you are the unfortunate person that isn't even aware that these accounts are existing in your name or under your ID number, your credit score can literally take a big beating. And the next time you innocently walk into a bank and you want to get a loan, you want to get a credit card, you want to get a home loan or a car loan, and you get rejected. Sometimes you don't even know why you're getting rejected, but it's because you've got all of these accounts under your name that actually you have no idea how they actually came about. So identity theft is such an important thing, because at the end of the day, you are falsely opening, or somebody's falsely opening accounts in your name. So it's very important, one, to always make sure that every single, I would even say do it almost every 6 months. When you're doing your financial auditing, right? Get your credit report. I know there are companies that give you a credit report almost every single month now. You are supposed to get it for free annually, but you can literally get it every single month. And just go through it. Just skim through it. It doesn't take you even more than 2 minutes. Just check whether you or recognize the accounts that are under your name. Do you know them? Did you go and actually open them yourself? Did you consent to those accounts actually being opened? Because sometimes we also hear about friends who open accounts under their friends' names and the friend doesn't actually know, because it's a close person. You don't mind giving them that information, So it's very important to make sure that you are checking your credit report. Now, people will then ask me, which company should I use? I would always say use 3 credit bureaus or reporting companies to check. So the likes of Clear Score, the likes of TransUnion, the likes of Experian, the likes of Kudo. Check. I know even the banks these days will give you a free credit report. The reason why you must check on multiple ones is because, remember, companies don't all report to the same credit bureau or reporting company. So you may find that a Sports Scene, for instance, only reports to TransUnion. So you need to be able to check on all of those different credit reports to see if there is anything offish that is popping up. The other thing, sometimes it's not even just about accounts that have been opened under your name. Sometimes it's your particulars, so your name is not spelled correctly. I know on one credit report, I was a Mr. Mashile, and I was like, who is Mr. Mashile, So ID numbers, all of those things. Because even now when you are looking for insurance, they check your credit score, your credit report. Even when you are looking for rental, they check your credit report. So it's important to check all of those things, because I think they will come in handy the day you may want to get access to credit, right? So very, very important is that you get sight of your actual credit report. So what do you do if you find that somebody has actually falsified your information and opened an account under your name? You are going to have a difficult time to proving it. However, it is worth trying and it's worth the effort, and you will eventually get justice. And I say it's difficult because you need to prove to the credit provider that you did not walk in on that day to open an account, right? So it's about having an alibi. Where were you on that day? How are you going to prove that you were not there? The signature is also important. But these days, we barely sign anything. And when people ask us in the shops to sign, I was at Vodacom last week trying to open an account for the business phone. And literally when the lady was like, sign here, fill in this, I was like, what's the point of filling in these documents when I can just fill it in online? So already that's also problematic, right? So make sure that you've got some sort of evidence. Go to the police station, put together an affidavit, open a fraud case, because at the end of the day, it is damaging. And then you've got to log what is called a dispute with a credit bureau. So pick one of the credit bureaus and log a dispute with them and let them investigate. And you've got to submit all of the supporting documents to ensure that all of these accounts that you did not open are actually, I mean, for me, the mere fact that you probably were not getting statements should be one big indicator that you did not open. Why would you open an account where you are not getting statements? And sometimes it's a small amount. It's like maybe you're supposed to pay 500 every month. You're somebody who can afford 500 rand. Why would you just abscond from that duty of paying 500? So all of these things should be able to assist you in making sure that whoever you are, having to submit these documents with, and follow up after you've submitted your supporting documents, after you've logged in this dispute, and there are investigations that are actually happening to make sure that you're going to get the justice that you definitely deserve. Then, of course, you now have to slug through the rebuilding of your credit score, because unfortunately, even though there may be a couple of disputes, your credit score, remember, it's calculated on an algorithm, so it will take a bit of a beating. But once those things get removed from your actual credit profile, your credit score will start to recover. But you can also assist it in recovering, in making sure that you are making your payments when you are owing somebody, paying them, you're paying the amount that you agreed on the credit agreement, and you are paying it on time. Most importantly, reduce the credit utilization. So if you've got a credit card, for instance, and on your credit card you are given a limit of 40,000, don't use the whole 40,000. I know it's something that everybody has of, oh, I maxed up my credit card. No, it's not a good thing to max up your credit card, right? It's not. It's showing that you are dependent on credit over and above the salary that you're actually getting every single month. The other thing that you've got to remember is the credit inquiries. It's making credit inquiries. People say, when they ask for their credit report, is that a credit inquiry? No. So remember, there are two types of inquiries. There's what we call soft inquiries and hard inquiries. The soft inquiries are the inquiries when you yourself are looking to see what your credit status looks like. So you request your credit profile, or an employer. So it is for any other reason other than acquiring access to credit. When it is an application for access to credit, that's when it becomes a hard inquiry that then gets listed under your name. And you want to minimize the hard inquiries simply because they make you look like you are desperate for credit, that you live off credit. I'm hoping that this video has assisted you. I know that that is not the entire chapter. The chapter also has a second part where we speak a little bit about debt review process, and I'll get into debt review process in a separate video altogether. The last thing I want to remind you is that there is no such a thing as blacklisting. Psychologically, the word blacklisting puts people into a space that they should not be. Blacklisting simply means that you've got negative credit listing.